Starting his journey from Aurangabad, which is now called Chhatrapati Sambhaji Nagar, he got the fellowship of KVPY for his interest in physics. As he was more interested in the applications of physics, he started pursuing B.Tech in mechanical engineering from the IIT Bombay. Then he started his research in additive manufacturing and rapid prototyping, where he developed a 3D based paper printer. Then he worked on multiple projects like manned drones, electron beam based powder metal 3D printer in collaboration with BARC. With this, he found his interest in product design and did a few elective courses from the Industrial Design Center at IIT Bombay. This set the foundation for his further studies, and he went ahead and pursued Masters in the field of Product Design Engineering from the prestigious Glasgow School of Arts and University of Glasgow. This is where he got into precision farming methods including hydroponics, aeroponics and other controlled environment methods. He started exploring the field of mycology because he was fascinated with the world of fungi and its benefits to humans. He then decided to come back to India and start his independent research at the IIT Bombay. He started collaborating with multiple professors from IIT Bombay and started curating mushroom-based products. Powdered extracts of mushrooms were formulated here for their benefits. Let's hear more about these powdered extracts from Mr. Ashmak Moon. Hi Ashmak, welcome to the chat.
Hi Mayuri, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So tell me, what makes you more interested in fungus?
So I came across a YouTube video and just simple exploration I was doing in terms of precision agricultural methods. Turns out that they are quite sophisticated, these methods, and they were only happening outside the country, or so I assumed. But then turns out that we are using the same methods in India, but the production somehow remains very low. Instead, we actually have a huge capacity to produce them. So I wanted to use my mechanical engineering background a little bit to streamline the process and somehow get it going in our country as well.
Right.
And that was something that I was really interested in.
Wow. But what makes mushrooms so important in the Indian agricultural context?
So, considering India as a vegetarian dominant country, we have a lot of vegetarians in India. Mushrooms are considered vegetarian. Most of the people actually do like to consume mushrooms.
Yeah.
The thing with vegetarian family is that there isn't vitamin D in any of the food that we are eating.
Right.
So the urban population, they actually seem to be suffering with vitamin D deficiency. 76% actually, and that data was staggering, that 76% of Indian urban population is vitamin D deficit. Mushrooms, especially oyster mushrooms, somehow had so much abundance of vitamin D that I was like, this can potentially not only take India forward in terms of agriculture, but also solve one of our major issues.
So even I love mushrooms and I'm very much interested in what the product is. But you mentioned oyster mushrooms in particular. Why is that?
So majorly we have two types of mushrooms. So a little bit of categorization I'll do. So we have agaricus variety, which are predominantly grown on manure, and then there are very clean mushrooms which grow on wood and bark and sawdust. So these mushrooms they are quite cleaner. They can turn the energy of plants and make it very bioavailable for humans, and that is what makes oyster mushroom very, very special to me, because they grow amazingly well. Very rigorous growth is there. They are local here in Maharashtra and India. Actually, if we see the Indian subcontext, lot of people do like to eat oyster mushrooms, those who know about it. So oyster mushrooms especially were very, very close to me, because when I tasted them for the first time, they were really umami, and then I really started to search about them, and turns out that they are full of phytochemicals.
Wow.
And these are some of them are even considered to be elixir of life, and for longevity and for just enhancement of immunity we can take them. So I found them to be really interesting because they grow pretty well in our local climate. We don't need fancy kind of farms for that.
So I can't believe these little mushrooms have so many benefits in them. But what are the ways to consume these mushrooms so that a person can get maximum benefits?
There are multiple possible ways. Obviously, they are, as I mentioned, quite umami in flavor, which profile we generally don't see in vegetarian food somehow. And we can actually saute them in oil, which is quite nice, but we can get most benefit out of them when we turn them into some other forms. For example, there is a hot water extraction method which is possible, or even there is alcohol extraction which is possible, out of which we can evaporate the alcohol and use the residue.
Okay.
So this post processing is what actually makes these mushroom quite nice, because then in that case we are able to actually extract all the benefits of the mushroom, and the qualities are quite medicinal in that case.
Wow.
So depending on our bodily needs, we can actually change the recipe of extraction a little bit, and we can actually reap the benefits of these mushrooms. So
Wow. So tell us more about the benefits of this extracts of mushrooms, and what are the benefits of this powder?
okay, talking about elixir of life, I'll say I know that is quite an exaggeration, but believe me, when it comes to mushroom family, not only oyster but other medicinal mushrooms as well, they are quite potent. And if we actually see oyster mushrooms in particular, they are abundant in polysaccharides, and polysaccharides are quite beneficial, and we actually have been consuming this in various forms. If we look at our food from the history, and somehow we are trying to bring that back, so the tribes who have been consuming these have actually understood the value of having them, and we somehow lack that knowledge.
And it's so great that here you are promoting more and more about this information, so that more people become aware about the benefits of mushrooms.
Obviously, why not? I mean, they are so exciting. I just mentioned about polysaccharides, but then there are many more things. For example, they are known for their anti-inflammatory functions. They are also known for their very low-fat, content, which I already mentioned, I suppose. Also, most important part about them is that they are hypoglycemic. They are very good for patients with diabetes, and they can actually make the food that you eat, its nutrients and its vitamins, it makes it bioavailable. So when you have it with food, actually it can give you more out of that same food, and that's the most interesting part.
Oh, lovely. So how does it benefit a diabetic person?
So since they are hypoglycemic, so they work in a little bit different mechanism than how insulin works in body.
Okay.
What happens is, when you consume these mushrooms, they go and attach with the protein kinase, which is within our blood cell.
Okay.
Now this is a little bit theoretical and tricky to understand, but the simple part about this is that our cells, they require sugar, but over the time, for a diabetic person, these cells, they have blocked insulin because they do not want that much sugar,
Right.
and hence the sugar remains in the blood. Now when the mushrooms, its phytochemicals, they go and attach with the protein kinase within the cell, somehow the cell now becomes capable of taking that sugar in correct amount, hence keeps it from spiking.
Oh.
And when that spike is moderated, the person does not suffer as much.
Wow. I mean, not that I got too much out of it, but I'm sure it is much more beneficial. And I think so many people in the country have diabetes. So this is a great invention for people with diabetes to treat their disease. But also, I wanted to know who can consume these mushrooms. Is there a particular age or particular sector of the people who can consume, or anybody and everybody can do it?
Mushrooms, they are simply food. It is even available in many markets. It's a very local produce, and it is very seasonal as well. So it's just like any other sabji that we have in India. We can just go and consume them. Yes, rare are the conditions when we actually see somebody reacting weirdly to mushroom. They may find it uneasy to digest. In that case, they can just not consume it because there are no side effects as such.
Right.
Allergies may occur, but the allergies are so mild that you can just stop consuming them.
Okay.
And it's pretty much harmless. It's like having full Gobi in your plate and you not liking it as such.
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, now we know that allopathy is also very effective, and people always consume allopathic medicines to treat their problems.
Yes.
So why should they switch to oyster mushroom or powdered mushroom extracts over allopathy? Why should they choose it?
I will never say that allopathy is not a good option for diabetic people, because for you to manage diabetes, it is quite difficult, and it is about the lifestyle management simply. I will never recommend anybody to discontinue allopathic medicine as such and start consuming the powder extract.
Okay.
These are quite supplementary to your main treatment.
Okay.
So with time, you will reap the benefits of this because it's quite natural with nearly no side effects.
Okay.
It will not affect your liver or your kidney, which allopathic medicine can do because they are not very natural. And Western medicine versus, if we talk about these mushroom extracts are quite local, hence our body is able to adapt to them.
Yeah. So, can you elaborate a little more on the consumption of this powdered extracts if a person has diabetes and is also consuming allopathic medicines?
So, if a person is consuming allopathic medicine, first of all, if they really want to get into treatment with naturopathy, is what I'll call it, they should consider higher consumptions in the initial days. They should consume more mushroom powder in the initial days so that their body know what they are dealing with, what the body is dealing with, because diabetes doesn't happen overnight. It takes a prolonged duration for that to happen. And when that is actually happening to a person, it is quite obvious that it cannot just be brought back to normalcy. Even your general physician might notice the difference, and maybe, and quite possibly, because they are quite potent, the powder, quite possibly your allopathic dosage will go down.
Oh, that's lovely. So tell us more about the dosage. How much do you prescribe and how to consume this?
So if people do get their hands on like the fresh mushroom, which are very delicate, and we are actually working on the powder because they are fresh for just a couple of hours.
Yeah, you can of course store it for a longer time.
Yes, precisely. So 100 grams of fresh mushroom would be quite beneficial.
Okay.
But in powdered format, I'll say around maximum 5 grams, would do the work.
Considering your background, I think it has been quite a roller coaster. So where do you see yourself going?
So considering the fungus research, we know very less about it. I mean, I came across a TED video by Paul Stamets, who's like the biggest guy in mycelium world today. We know very less about it, and we need to know more because I'm telling you, the medicinal properties of mushrooms, they are phenomenal.
Right.
There are even mushrooms who are self-healing. Like there are mushrooms who are 100 years old. I mean, it's just fungus.
Yeah.
It's very, very basic, and we actually do need to know a lot about it. So this research, I think I'm going to be interested in researching about mushroom for the rest of my life.
Wow, so we look forward to more and more products coming out from your side, and I think that's how it's going to go, right?
Yeah, I mean, for now I'm focusing on this anti-diabetic powdered extract, Now this is specially formulated for anti-diabetes as a supplementary agent, but if I actually get into the world of mycelium and their properties, we can heal many things. I mean, I'm going to say the big word, but I think we can potentially think about cancer medicine as well. Maybe it will not cure it, but it can support the immune system very well, and it can bring your body back to balance. And that is quite amazing. Kidney functionality we can work on, liver functionality we can work on, and so on. It's just non-stop. Even for some people who are suffering through mental illnesses, lion's mane is a great option. For people who are suffering through cancer currently and going through chemotherapy, turkey tail has been a gift, which we actually have not explored much in India, and I actually look forward to the day when we have those options available in India as well.
Absolutely, I think I'm looking forward to, and all the best for your research because it seems very promising. But any message you would like to give our viewers right now who are watching?
So it is actually quite sad to say that India has grown as the diabetic capital of the world. Our vegetarian diet and all the fast food culture going in the country right now, and our consumption of sugar and carbohydrates heavy diet, and somehow it's going out of balance, especially for the urban population. I'll say we need some strong measures, and these measures, they don't have to be unpleasant. Oyster mushrooms are pretty pleasant to consume. So I'll say for all those people who think they are suffering through diabetes or even want to get their immunity back up, I think MadhuMulya is a great option. And MadhuMulya is simply a powdered extract, and it is amazing. We tested it and we saw that within 10 days, the diabetic spikes, the sugar spikes in the diabetic patients, it was in control. It was much more controlled than before. Especially the fasting time sugar spike, that is very disturbing to diabetic patients, we were somehow able to balance. Even if you're pre-diabetic, I guess you keep this in your diet and you'll be good to go. So yeah, for now, MadhuMulya is something that is my message to everyone who's watching.
Thank you so much, Ashmak. Your research is fascinating, and I believe that we are going to get a lot of more products in the upcoming months and years. And at such a young age, you're so determined and passionate about oyster mushrooms. I'm sure a lot of people who are watching are going to give it a try, and I hope it benefits a lot of diabetic patients in the country, and the number of people in India suffering from diabetes goes down. So thank you so much again for joining us, Ashmak.
Thank you so much for having me.